Well, welcome to part 3. I come with a sad heart because I was expecting this to be the last video on sensors, but my idea, it works. It just doesn't work the way I want it to for me. I'm going to continue on at least sharing this next part on doing Arduinos and hooking up these sensors. My issue that I came up with is really very simple. I had a weak link, and I didn't realize it until I started working with it. So my computer is located right here. My first power district is literally on the other side of this wall here, less than 6 feet away. And as such, being only 6 feet away, this USB cable was not a problem whatsoever. The next power district is 25 feet away. Well, I knew that USB has a small limitation, the limitation being distance. It doesn't work very well. So I got one of these, this is a powered USB cable. I'm going to open this one up. And it has a dongle on the end that basically amplifies the signal coming out and making it easy for it to make a connection 25 feet away. But to be fair, at 25 feet away, it powers up the Arduino with no problem. It runs it fine. The issue is that the signal coming out of the Arduino is not always getting when I'm 25 feet away. My next connection is 50 feet away. I then talked to some of my networking friends, and they were not sure what to do. I said, well, isn't there a way I could send this through Cat5 wire or something like that? And the answer was, yeah, there's a way to send it through. And we took a look at that. And quite frankly, at that point in time, it became more expensive to hook these up than it does to buy a commercial setup that probably manages all that situation to begin with. So, that being said, I realized that that is not going to be the great solution. So, I get to take a step back. But the video will still go on for sensors because this is still can be used for JMRI and small and medium-sized layouts where you're not dealing with 50 feet away from a computer. If you have a larger size layout and your computer's in the middle and you can reach everything with a 10-foot cable, you're not going to run into a problem. But if you're going to be over 25 feet away from your Arduino and have it detect sensors, it's not going to work. So this video is basically going to be on programming these Arduinos and what you have to do and then hooking them up to JMRI. So this is going to be a video. This is not going to be on what I'm doing on my layout because quite frankly I'm not going to be able to do it, which is leading me to look at some other ideas. But I will share with you how to get this working on JMRI and how to get this to work on your layout. So from here, it's going to be pretty much computer work. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at my computer. I'm going to show you how to set this up and go forward from there. So hang on and let's jump to a computer.
Okay, welcome to my computer. So for starters, I am not a programmer, not even close. You ask me a programming question, I'm basically going to look at you like a deer staring into the headlights. I have no idea. But I'm not the genius behind this. And the genius behind this is one Geoff Bunza. Geoff is fantastic. Very approachable, very active on the Model Railroad Hobbyist blog site. And this is the article we're going to find. If you have never searched for an article on the blog site, Geoff made this very easy for all of us. Geoff's usually models everything as SMA, and in this case we want 28 because that's what we're looking at. And when you hit that, you're going to get this page to come up here, and the very first thing you see is, voila, there it is, the site that we're looking for. Now, the very next thing I'm going to tell you to do is starting from this right here all the way down to the bottom here. Right there. You want to copy and print that because Geoff has given you 99% of what you need to know to perform what we're going to do. So, what I have set up to the computer that you cannot see, I literally have this Arduino. This is a Mega 2560, and this sensor shield, excuse me, attached to the top of this Mega. The sensors actually start here at 0 and go all the way up to 70. We are not going to be using 0 and 1. We'll get into that later on. Actually, Geoff explains that in this entire article, so I'm not going to go into that because that's just a waste of your time and my talking. So anyway, once you get that onto that, the other thing I have attached to this sensor shield on number 2, I have this IR detector. Now, right here is voltage, ground, and out. That corresponds to ground, and it corresponds to ground. Voltage corresponds to voltage, and the out corresponds to the S. That's the sensor. That is how you're going to hook that up. The same holds true if you use any of the NCE. The sensor going out goes to S. Your voltage and ground go to exactly what's listed here. Those attached directly to them. You can use these lovely cables that Geoff's showing right here. These are jumper cables. You can make them yourself or you can buy them. I happen to find that it is very handy to take, they don't line up perfectly correct, but they get awfully darn close, but you can move them around. If you grab a servo cable, you can unhook the pins on the end so you can plug them into the sensor in the direction they go to, and the ground, voltage, and sensor line up exactly with the sensor shield. But that's another story. Anyway, I have that hooked up. Once you have that all set up, you don't need anything more than this Mega Arduino and the shield. I have them set up ahead of time so that we can go on. The very next thing you're going to need is this file right here. It's located right after all the sensors, buttons, and push contacts. You need to download this zip file, which provides us with all the programming and everything we need. You can see it right here. You simply will extract it all. Once it's extracted, you are set to go. This file includes the programming for your Mega, your programming for your Uno, and the scripts that you need for JMRI. We'll talk about those in a little while. We're going to just minimize those right out of there. The other things you need is you need to get the software for Arduino. My suggestion to you is Google Arduino IDE. You will hit this and it will land on the splash page. Right here is all the software you need. You don't need all of it. You only need the software for the version of operating system you're using. So if you're using Windows XP right here, 8 or 10, you click here. If you're using Mac, you just simply click on that one there, and the Linux options right there. Simply download those and install the program. The other program you will need is Python Charm. And I suggest that you Google Python Charm Community. That'll get you to this little icon. You don't need the professional, you need the community one. This is a for Python script, which is probably one of the more common scripts being used today in programming. And it basically allows you to change that. It is a JMRI, it is a Java-based script. And you can use this to program. So just download that and install it. Once you have those installed, we are ready to begin. So I'm going to take a little break here while you get those installed, and then we'll pick it up. Okay, now that we're back, I'm sure you have that all installed. Now we're going to start with the very next thing. I'm going to show you what you are going to be doing. So for starters, we're going to start with programming your Arduino. So you will open up your Arduino program. I have it locked here and it's going to start up. Now I've obviously programmed mine already, so the script is going to show up. This will not show up when you first start up. You're going to go into File, you're going to say Open, you're going to go to, because I already have it here, you can see it, so I'm going to go into here, open this up, the file where I extracted everything. I'm going to grab the Mega, I'm going to open it up, and that's what I'm going to open, and voila, that's what this is right here. Okay. Geoff has given you a lot of comments in here. There's a lot of good information. But again, I'm not a programmer. I'm not a genius at this. I basically take what they gave me and just read the comments and decide what I need to do. I have a Mega, so that means I'm going to have 70 pins. It's telling me right here that there are 70 pins. If you take a look here, there's an Uno and a Mini and a Nano. They only have 20 pins, so this would be changed to 20 if you needed to. The starting pin sensor starts on pin 2. The reason being is because 0 and 1 are the transmit and receive pin. So we're not going to put sensors on 0 and 1 because that's how it's transmitting the information to us. The next one is the offset. This pin is based on the following. On the first Arduino, it's going to be set to 0 because you've got sensors 2 through 68. The next Arduino would be changed to 70. So this offset would be 70. Whoops. Let's change it to 70. And that's how it goes. And Geoff has given us that comment right here. If you read all the way through here, it tells you that 2 through 69. And another one would be 70 through 137. And so forth and so forth. Again, that's a lot of sensors. But nonetheless, we're going to deal with this 0. Other than that, that is the only thing you need to change on this entire program. My suggestion, don't change it. Next thing, you need to make sure that you don't have a corrupted file. So you're going to compile it by hitting this verify, this check mark. It's going to compile it. It's going to check it. Once it says that it is done compiling and it doesn't report any errors, you are ready to upload it. Again, with your Arduino connected, you need to do the following things. You need to go to Tools and ensure that you are dealing with the correct board. I'm dealing with a Mega 2560. You would check on that to make it connect to it. If you don't and you have one of these other boards in here, it's not going to work. You need to look, if you have an Uno, you would check on Uno. But again, I don't have an Uno. I'm dealing with a 2560 Mega. The next thing you need to check is to make sure that you have the right processor. In this case here, you will see a Mega 2560. You just simply click on that if it's not clicked on yet. And the last thing you need to do is your COM port. Now, my computer has seen this Arduino before, so it automatically assigns it to the COM port that it's assigned to, which is 4, and it's automatically checked. When you install your Arduino, you're going to have to go to your device manager and go to ports, COM ports, open it up, and find out which one has got a Mega 2560 attached to it. Note the COM port number. When you come into this program, you should find it, because this program is going to look at the COM ports to find Arduinos, and you simply click on that device. To confirm that you actually are communicating to that device, you will then go in down to here where it says Get Board Information, and when you click on it, you should get a report back from the board of a serial number, and you know that it's now working, and you are connected to that board. You then will upload this software to the Arduino by hitting the upload button. You will see it over here begin to upload, and when it's saying it's upload, and once it says it's done, you are finished. You are literally finished programming that Arduino. We are done with this program. That's it. Next, we're going to deal with JMRI. I'm going to show you what we're going to do first, and then we'll do it step by step. So I'm going to open up Panel Pro. I'm going to select my first video here so that I can show you what's going on. What we're going to do is we're going to set up all these buttons right here. These buttons are assigned certain tasks, and I'll show you how we do it, and they are helpful in getting this all set up. The other thing we need to do is we need to have a panel ready. Now, I'm assuming if you've dealt with sensors already, that you already have a panel built. If you haven't, simply go to a video that I've already have posted on building a JMRI panel. We're just going to simply do this really quickly and build a real quick one real fast. We're going to actually, I don't have to. I think I have a panel. I do right here, 7. I can open this panel up. Okay. This panel is already set. I have a sensor located right here in the center, and I have my panel. The next thing I need to do is add those buttons to this thing. So I'm going to go to Edit and Preferences. I'm going to go down to Startup. Where it says Add, I'm going to add a button to the main window. I will click on that. The first one I want to do is open up the sensor panel. So open sensor table right there. I'm going to add that. There it is. The next add, I'm going to again add button to main window. I'm going to open the, I don't remember which order they come into, but we'll find out as we go through here. Open the thread monitor. You're then going to click OK. And then we're going to add one more button to this. And I need to open the thread monitor. I need to open, oh, the script. I'm looking for it. Open sensor script output window right there. Open those up. Okay, those are 3 of the buttons we need. Those were easy. All I had to do is look for them and put them onto the thing. The next 2 buttons are a little more complicated because we need to go to the programming that Geoff has provided for us. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up our Python Charm community. It takes a little time to open it up. And once you get it, you're then going to just hit open. You're going to find your files. Oop, I'm going to find my desktop first. And then I can find my files. There we go. So we're going to start with this first one. And there it is. It's open. Now, this screen is really bright. You can change the colors and everything else. I'm not going to go through all that. What you basically need to do is just change a couple minor things on this. Things you need to note. The naming of the sensors is based on the sensor table. The way Geoff has got this set up is that your sensors are named AR right here. I'm going to highlight this. AR colon and then the number. Now the reason why Geoff set this up is because if you set up a batch install, this is the format it's going to use. You can do it singly or you can add it as a batch, and it'll do that. The primary thing you need to change on here is this right here, where it says COM port. I just got done telling you that my Arduino is on COM port 4, and this says COM port 5. I'm simply going to change it to a 4, and then I'm going to go over here to File, Save As, and then I'm going to make it easy for me to understand by putting in sensor scan COM 4 and say OK. Here is the original, and here is the new one. Because I saved as, it automatically puts it into there. Okay? The other file we need to set up is this one that says sensor serial close. So JMRI leaves the serial port open when you it leaves the port open. It doesn't close it if you close the program. So, and I may be entirely wrong. Again, I'm not a programmer, just being fair. Geoff has provided this as a way to close the COM port. So you simply go to sensor serial close. Again, all you're going to change is the COM port from 5 on this one to 4. Now that might be different when you download it, whatever one is in there. And again, I'm just going to say save as, and I try to make this easy for me to understand. COM 4. Now, if you have multiple Arduinos, you need to set up this script for both any COM ports that you have an Arduino attached to that you're going to be doing the sensors with. Once you've done that, we can exit this. And here in that file that I saved is exactly what we're looking for. COM 4, COM 4. Okay? So, at this point in time, we're going to go back to here and we're going to add script button. We're going to name this sensor scan COM 4. That way I know what I'm dealing with. I'm going to browse. I'm going to go to my desktop. I'm going to find that sensor information. And here I have sensor scan COM 4. I'm going to open it and attach it. That whole script that we wrote is now attached to that button. We're going to add the close script too by doing the exact same thing. Whoop. Well, now I'm going to rename that. I'm going to call this close COM 4. Okay, and again, I'm going to browse it, and there's my serial close COM 4. Open it. Say OK. Now I'm going to save it. It's going to restart. And there you go. We've got all our buttons here and everything set. So I'm going to give you a couple seconds here, and then we'll pick up from here on what we do next. Okay, so now you've got the buttons all set up and everything's all ready to go. This part is really important. The next thing you need to do is open your panel. Now, chances are you have a panel that will be something like this, although you probably have track and everything in there and everything else. And again, if you've never set one of these up, I've got a video on doing that. We need to open that panel up because these buttons are going to correspond to the panel that we're using. So the next thing we have to do is we have to name our sensors. Now you can do this a couple different ways. You could go to Tools, you can go to Tables, and you can pull out Sensors. And voila, there it is right there. This works just fine. Well, we already created a button on here. You could just hit this as well and it'll do exactly the same thing. You're going to add your sensors to your panel. These sensors are internal sensors. Now, in this case here, I have this set up to be an NCE. So it probably, if you've never set up a sensor panel, it's never been there, it might default to whatever your DCC system is. You need to make sure it's set to internal. Hardware address. You have no address. This is a direct connection to a serial port. So the hardware address can be 0. Okay? This is the most important thing. The username. The scripts that we created and the programming are all based on the COM port, and the script tells it what to name it in JMRI based on the username. So when I said that you could change the username, that means you have to use your brain and figure out how this works so that you can name it whatever you want to. Geoff, the default that he used was AR. Again, I'm going to pull this up so you can see it, that his default was AR. Push this out of the way. It's loading the project. Right here, this line here is the name, the sensor name and number. The sensor name is AR colon and then the number. Okay? And the reason why Geoff set that up is really easy to understand, is if you just type in AR and hit add a sequence, and you can add as many as you want to, up to 70 here. Actually, JMRI only lets you go up to 100 in this. I find this very annoying. I wish the JMRI folks would leave that a little more open, but they didn't. So you can only do 100 at a time. But there, I've set it up for 70. Actually, I'm not going to set it up for 70 because I want to demonstrate something here. I'm going to set it up to 12. And I'm going to say create. Okay, so it created 12 sensors. Now, it may not look like it because it only goes to 10. That's because, remember, we said 0 and 1 are the transmit and receive. So we can delete these two sensors because they're not sensors. Okay, now we've got sensors 2 through 11. And we have our panel, which I'm going to open up right here. Now, we're going to add a sensor to this panel. I'm going to do this nice and quick because there's no point in doing it any other way. If you already have your track and everything all set up, all you have to do is take this. You can actually select on this right here and drag it down to here. Now it's going to name that independent sensor, and you can use these icons. You can change the icons by hitting change icons. You simply add them to the panel, and there is our sensor. Now, you're saying, well, Mike, that's too bloomin' easy. I know it is. We're going to save that in just a minute, but I want to show you what to do if you want to add a sensor, and this is not here because you want to change it. You can simply go into here and go AR colon 3, and I can add another one. Add item to the table and add it to the panel. Now AR3 already exists. All we're doing is just simply saying to that, I want you to add this additional sensor. Okay, and the beauty of JMRI is if you hover over top of it, it's going to tell you that this is AR3, it's independent sensor 3. This is AR2, come on, show me it. There it is, AR2, independent sensor 2. Now, we're going to do this one more time. We're going to save this because I don't want to lose this. So we're going to go to Panel, Save Panel, and it was called Test 7. I'm going to save it again. Say overwrite it, and we now have this. So if I quit and then start this back up again, and open that panel up, voila, both of my panel sensors are there. Okay? Now, we're going to minimize this just a bit. We're now going to talk about what these buttons do. So when you hit this, you hit your sensor table. There's my sensors. The reason why I want this is so that, whoop, I didn't want that. Is so that we can show you what they're doing. So we're going to set that up to there. The thread monitor and the script output. Now, before you start this, you need to make sure that your Arduino is reset. And once it's reset, you're going to hit this sensor scan. And in this case, it's COM4 because that's the port it's on. And when I hit it, you're going to see these thread monitor and the script output report some stuff. There it is. So it's telling in the thread monitor that it went to that serial port and it hit 68 pins. Which, by the way, it's showing you that pins 12 through 69 are not available. That's because these pins over here, if you look at your sensor table, are defined. Pin 12 all the way through 69 is not defined because JMRI is not giving it a definition. You also will notice that it says unknown and inactive. Don't worry about that for the most part. The key that you want to find out is, and as a matter of fact, if we look at our panel, we're going to see that those two sensors are both red. But if I put my finger over top of the sensor, one's going to change to green and then back to gray when my finger's pulled out of it. That happens to correspond to exactly what's going on right here on AR2. It's inactive, it's active. It's inactive, it's active. And that is how a sensor works on there. And if you notice right here down at the cycles, look at your script. That's telling you, I see something, it's telling you that that COM port is an active port, and every time I put my finger in front of there or remove it, it's sending a signal back to JMRI, which happens to also correspond to exactly what's happening on your panel. Just like so. And that is how we'll set up a sensor on there. Now, if you do not open your panel first and you try to run these, you're not going to get any response because it doesn't know what panel you're talking about and what sensor table to open up. So I'm going to give you another slick tip that you can do. When you go to Edit again, select Preferences, and you go back to Startup again. If you have a panel that is all set and ready to go and you got everything all worked out, you can then go down to this Add again and see where it says Open File. I can say Open File. This is my panel that I've been working on, and I can say Open. I want this panel to be the very first thing you open up, and that's what it's going to do. I'm going to save, and it's going to want to restart it. This time when it restarts it, it's immediately going to open the panel up. There's the panel being requested, and it's immediately beginning to open up. Voila. Reset my Arduino. Pull up my sensor tables, my thread monitor, my output, and I hit, we're going to make this all appear on the same location here. There we go. I'm going to hit the script. And there you go. And look at 2 in the light, and you're going to see them turn on and off. And there you go. That's how you set up a sensor with an Arduino on a JMRI panel. I hope this was helpful. Again, while it may not work for me, it might work for you. I'm obviously going to have to sit down and look at what I'm going to do in the future, given I need to get my sensor set up. But obviously, with the limitation of a USB cable, it's not going to work. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed this series. I'm sure that I will be doing an update explaining what I'm going to be doing with sensors in the future. But until then, happy modeling.